Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Thursday, September 21st. This is a live show we do every morning, 10:30 Eastern Time, where I give my official picks. I'm up in every sport right now on the year. Yesterday in MLB, a quirky day, a weird day with the picks. I wound up going 4-4, but because of underdog lines, I actually wound up a tenth of a unit. So officially it counts as a winning day, and I'll take it. I'll take it. 1/10 of 1 unit.
Big baller.
Marty Ice, 1/10 of 1 unit. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it any way I can get it. A weird day yesterday. I friggin' knew Anderson had a blister issue. I knew that was a terrible bet on the under in the KC-Toronto game. That was a bad pick. The San Diego under, that was a loser. I can live with it. You know, Robbie Ray got hit a little bit, and so did Lamet, so I can live with that loser. The St. Louis low-hanging fruit picks were easy low-hanging fruit cashers. And then the second half plays were kind of typical MLB second half, big money line underdog plays. One of them won. The Philly one got a little bit lucky with cashing, but it was a big underdog, so that's okay. So overall, it was a kind of a dicey day. Nolasco was better than expected. Did get though a push on the first 5 innings team total over with Cleveland at 2.5 would have been a loss, but since it was 2, I took it, wound up pushing. So you know, it was a break-even day. 4-4 yesterday, and we will look at today's MLB card. I do have some more college football stuff that I'm kind of liking, and we can start off with that. First of all, I previewed the Missouri-Auburn game with Al McMorty yesterday. I was leaning Missouri as a big underdog anyway. Al McMorty, that was his pick on the game, so I wound up adding that one to my official overall card. It was 19.5 minus 105 in yesterday's show. Now it's gone down about 1.5 points. But that one I added on in yesterday's video with Al McMorty. So Missouri plus 19.5 is also on my overall card. And I looked at a bunch of people were asking about the NFL game tonight, and asking about MLB. We'll get to that in a second. First, I just want to cover the college football stuff. I did a bunch of college football numbers crunching yesterday, and came up with some stuff that I think I'm liking. One thing that I think I'll add that I did wind up giving in the Beat the Prick contest, or making one of my picks, I took, and I bet it, I took Idaho against South Alabama. Of course, Idaho has a quarterback, Linehan, who is an NFL prospect and is probably going to get drafted and probably at some point going to play in the NFL. He doesn't have much around him, obviously, playing at Idaho, but you know, similar to like Carson Wentz or whatever, there are sometimes quarterbacks who are, you know, even Ben Roethlisberger played at Miami of Ohio. You know, a lot of times
I didn't know that.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird because a lot of the big NFL quarterbacks play at like you know, mediocre or crappy colleges. Carson Wentz played at South Dakota State. You know, or North Dakota State. Sorry. So Linehan is one of those guys. He doesn't have a lot around him, but South Alabama has a bunch of injuries defensively for this game. It's a revenge game also. So I think they probably went outright, but at 3.5, I bet it. I took it, and I will give it right now. Let's just check the current line to see, because I never give Staley. It's 3.5 across the board. So 3.5 minus 106 at Pinnacle is the line I'll give there. I'm also leaning to the over on that one, and on game day Saturday with Big Man, I'll probably wind up giving the Idaho team total over, which should be about 27 or 20, maybe 28. That line is headed up, but I like Idaho. And so I'm going to give that one. Also, other games that I saw that I'm kind of liking. Well, let's see. I don't even know where I should start. I'm thinking that Nebraska actually might be a good bet at minus 11. Obviously, Nebraska is coming off of an embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois, and Rutgers is, you know, bad, but maybe a little bit less shitty than they have been in years past. But it's an absolute must-win in a dominant fashion by Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska is just like, they've been underachieving for so long, and they lost outright at home to Northern Illinois last week. Just an embarrassment. And if ever there's a spot for them to come in and get a decent win, it should be in this spot. The numbers suggest they got a little bit unlucky, so I did bet them at minus 11. And I have to think about whether I want to give that, but that's what I'm thinking about. Eastern Michigan at home against Ohio. Eastern Michigan has played very well this year, and I think this is also a spot where they have some value at minus 2.5. Let me see other games that I capped and that I liked. Indiana at home against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is absolutely horrific this year. At some point, they might pick it up offensively, but so far they've been terrible offensively. Indiana, of course, a little bit up and down, some major question marks, but you know they did hang with Ohio State for a little bit in week 1, and I think this is a spot where they should roll. So Indiana at 24 is a little bit up there, but not too many points in my opinion. I also took Louisiana Tech on the opening line at 11 earlier this week. Now it's down to 8. I also kind of like Maryland against UCF and the over in that one. Maryland has a highly touted 17-year-old freshman quarterback who's probably going to be inconsistent this year, struggle against the better defenses, but should also probably have some flashes of excellence, and I think that might happen here as well. So I'm kind of leaning Maryland minus the points there, and let me see anything else. That's I guess that's about it for now. So the only one I've definitely and then also the BC Clemson game. I'm thinking that it's a low-scoring game and that BC is getting a few too many points. Clemson, of course, coming off of the huge win, and doesn't feel like a spot where they're likely to be motivated to run up the score here. BC, of course, is terrible, but probably good enough to either. Probably good enough to hang close within 31 or so. So I think there's probably small value there with BC getting 34.5, especially if it gets up to 35. And yeah, those are my and I'm also leaning under in the NC State Florida State game. I think that's going to be a defensive battle. I got 51.5. That line hasn't moved. Let me see where that one is right now. The Florida State, NC State total. I got 50. Yeah, it's now 51. So I like the under in that one as well. And that's it for college football. So I added on Missouri last night, and I added on Idaho just now. And leans that I might add on would be Nebraska minus 11, Eastern Michigan minus 2.5. Maryland minus 3 or 3.5. Maryland and Central Florida over at about 59.5. And, maybe Indiana minus 24. I'll make a decision on that at the end of the show. But as for right now, definitely added on Idaho at plus 2.5. And also, 2 other picks that I gave earlier this week that I'm starting to feel very nervous about are Kansas and Cal as big underdogs. Cal is at a big, it's a good spot for Cal in terms of the spot in the schedule, but statistically, I looked at some other stuff, and they are significantly overpowered by USC in terms of personnel. So I'm not sure that giving them at 16.5 or 17 or whatever I gave them on the Monday show was a smart play. I might take that back by Saturday, and then same deal with Kansas. Kansas might get blown out of the water by West Virginia's passing game. So both of those picks are, as of right now, on the record, but I might pull both of those by Saturday as well as my bets, because I'm starting to like them less and less as the week goes on. But everything else that I gave, I'm still liking the Army Tulane under, Pulse, Texas Tech and Houston on the over. I gave that one, and I'm liking that one. Idaho plus 3.5 as of right now. I'm definitely liking that one. Think that one's solid. Alabama minus 18.5. Still liking that one. Chugging along with that one, and Missouri plus all those points against Auburn, liking that one too. And I think that's about it for college football for now.
I like that. Was a good rundown.
Yeah, nice rundown. Nice rundown. You notice I don't waste people's time. I give them the basic deals. The quarterback sucks. Vulnerability on defense. Here's the pick. Bam, on to the next game. Not wasting people's time, right? Not sitting here with 5.3 yards per pass against defenses that have given up 4.7 yards per pass. You know what I mean? Like all that shit.
There's room for that, but not this morning.
Yeah,
not in this show.
And not here.
It's too early.
Not here. It's like, look, who sucks? Who's awesome? Who's in the middle? Give the pick. Move on. All right. Who's injured? Who sucks? Who's awesome? That's what I give you. Who's injured? Who sucks? Who's awesome? Who's looking ahead? Who's tired? Who's lethargic? Who cares? Who doesn't care? Who's motivated? Bam.
I feel all of those things. Jim Jerome's a douche. Pete, we're sending an Australian mail order bride to you.
Really? Very. Oh, okay. Just make sure no plastic anywhere. I have only one requirement, only one demand. No plastic anywhere. Other than that,
What about like Invisalign?
Yeah, I guess like that can be okay, but
Stucci 11-0 in the last 11
very
picks.
nice.
Well done, Steven.
Last 11. Colin Keenan saying you can live in one of the two houses I went on West Virginia Saturday. Yes. Colin Keenan, of course, when I mentioned that I liked Kansas early on in the week, and now I'm liking it less and less and less, mentioned that he's betting his house and his parents' house on West Virginia. Which goes at 12 o'clock Saturday. So by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern time Saturday, Colin Keenan will either have 4 houses or no houses. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out for him. I initially liked Kansas again. My only reasoning was that I had West Virginia circled as a team that I had pegged as likely to be slightly overvalued going forward this year, and Kansas as a team I had pegged as likely to be slightly undervalued. So I think I was a little bit hasty in jumping on Kansas as a big underdog on the opening line. I'm liking it less and less. And same deal with the Cal USC game. The thing is though that USC tends to have head issues, and but I could see that one being close, and then USC pulling away because they really do have way more playmakers on both offense and defense than Cal. And Cal might have just sort of overachieved, and this week is when the dream is open, when the dream comes crashing down. They had a nice win in week 1. They had a nice win last week against Ole Miss. And so maybe Cal's looking a little bit better than they really are. I mean, they're still Cal. So yeah. So I'm not sure I'm liking that one either. But I do have, both of them still on my slate of college picks. And again, the two that were added today the one that was added today was Idaho plus 3.5. I'm liking that one. And the one that I added yesterday in the Al McMurdy show was Missouri plus 19.5. Yes, we can quickly talk about let's talk about the college football game that goes tonight. South Florida blew out Illinois at home last week, and this week once again looking like they're primed for a blowout. The line again, to my eye, looks a little bit low. I actually made that one a pick in the Beat the Prick contest. I took South Florida at 19.5. Temple is doesn't have much to recommend them. They beat UMass but didn't cover. We've seen how bad UMass has been this year. I mean, they're not the tight end is NFL caliber. They have some okay stuff. But, Temple got outgained by UMass, got outgained by Villanova, and in general not looking very good. Now they're going on the road here, a primetime game against South Florida. So I actually like South Florida tonight once again at 19.5. Their last game, I did give a pick on it. I gave the over, and that one cashed. The total on this game, I'm not totally sure. I think the total is dead on. Might be similar to the San Jose State game where South Florida wins by 20 or whatever, but I'm definitely leaning South Florida here pretty strongly and thinking about giving them as an official pick and adding it to my record because South Florida is, Quentin Flowers might get injured later on this year, but as of right now, he's looking good. He's looking fine. They rolled over Illinois last week. Temple should be an easier assignment than Illinois. I think we should see a roughly a similar outcome here. What do you think? You have anything to say about that one, Marty, guys?
No, I don't get that deep into college football. Yeah. I'm a pro guy myself.
Yeah. All right, so I'm thinking about that one, and I might give that one as an official pick by the end of this show. And then the NFL game is a very tough and tricky one. Obviously, yes. It's the Rams against the Niners, and the Rams obviously look great in week 1. The week 2 loss was a little bit forgivable. The Niners are obviously terrible, but they did play Seattle kind of tight. The Rams do appear to have a vulnerability in the run defense, which is I don't think likely to improve much going forward. And Carlos Hyde obviously ran all over him last year, doing very well this year, kind of a beast. So I think the Rams are probably the play, but not nearly as good of a play as they might appear at first glance. And even, obviously it's got low scoring game written all over it, yes. But I could easily see this one eclipsing the low total. Again, Carlos Hyde might have a great game, and I think he is likely to have a great game. Goff might, is probably going to have a decent passing game as well, and I can see this one sneaking over. It's a tricky one. Maybe teasing the Niners might be a decent play. It's just that the defender for the Rams, the hell is his name?
Michael Sam?
No, the other one. Fucking the stud who held out. The hell is that guy?
Oh.
His name is Arnold Donald, right?
I don't know.
And He didn't have a good game in his first game back. Now he's primed like the huge defender in Fast Times at Ridgemont High to have a big game. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, that's what the Rams.
That was Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. So he's like, he held out and he came back and was a little bit rusty. Didn't have a great game, and now he's like, all right, no. Now I'm going to have a big game here.
My car got smashed up.
Yeah. No, he's like, because he held out and his first game back was underwhelming. So
happens.
So yeah.
Guy here likes Hyde to go over his total tonight, which I don't disagree with.
I mean, definitely Hyde's doing great, and the Rams' vulnerability is in run defense. So I would expect him to have a good game. I didn't check what the yards total.
79.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, he probably gets to 100. It's probably a good bet that he gets to 100. So yeah, I could certainly see that. I might look at some props later on and tweet them out if I find any. But yeah. But I think that coming off of, I mean, it's tough to go into Seattle on the road and then come back on a short week, especially when you're a bad team. And the Rams, again, Goff is looking good defensively. They probably step up. So I would, I don't think it's going to be nearly as easy as some people might think at first glance. But I do think that the Rams -2.5 are probably the way to go. But if the Niners get an outright win, would not shock me at all, because the Niners have a lot in their front seven that's going to be potent. They held Seattle down, and that is no tough feat. That is no easy feat. And they could do the same thing here. Goff obviously looks much better than he did last year, but it was only a year ago that we remember how horrific he looked, And so as the NFL season, moves forward, I think we're going to, he's going to be up and down, inconsistent. He's going to have some games where he looked like he looked in week 1, and some other games where he sort of inexplicably looks like he looked last year. I'm not a believer that all of a sudden he's just suddenly turned into a lead NFL quarterback in one season. So
I like that, Quan.
What's that?
Over 9.5 punts tonight.
Yeah,
that's a prop.
Yeah, I mean but the other issue is that there might be a lot of very few possessions, because there might be, if it's it's a tough game. I'm not going to be betting it. I'm not going to be betting it. It is a tough game. The Rams probably are the right side at 2.5, but the total probably the under. But both of those picks, I think, are very lukewarm and small edges, if there is an edge in those games at all. All right, so let's get to MLB again. 4-4 yesterday, but because of some underdog lines, did wind up positive 1/10 of 1 unit, and I'll take it. All right, so on today's card, there's actually not a lot that I saw that I was really attracted to. The only thing that I really bet on the overnight line with confidence was Baltimore -1. Of course, Baltimore has been shut out 2 games in a row. That's got to be at least a little bit fluky and anomalous, although I'm seeing now that the line moved in Tampa Bay's favor. It's Andriese against Winoa, and Andriese, very, very hittable. And Tampa Bay, a little bit undervalued right now, but they have still had problems, in general offensively and winning. So now going here up against Baltimore, I think Baltimore has a little bit of value. I'm not sure why the line has moved in Tampa Bay's favor, but I will take Baltimore here -1. It will wind up being a decent underdog line, so I'm okay with that. If it loses and if it cashes, I think I will be expecting that. All right, so the money line part of that at BetOnline -112, and the run line part of that, let's see. Wow, I think looks like Intertops, best line in the market, +165. Friend of the show, the Intertops. Thanks so much for having the best line on the -1.5 line for Baltimore over Tampa Bay at +165. So money line part -112, run line part +165. So that's a +125 or so, 130 or so. Underdog line for Baltimore -1 over Tampa Bay. Then Bailey against Martinez is a very interesting matchup. Homer Bailey actually had a good start. No, let's call it what it is. A good start in his last start out. Is he likely to have another good start here? I don't think so. I have to assume that he's going to be vulnerable here. And Martinez is the opposite. He was actually pounded in his last start. Is he going to get pounded here again? I have to assume that he'll probably be better here. So Cincinnati might be a good bet. Once again, the first 5 innings over might be a good bet, betting on either Martinez or Bailey to get hit. and just St. Louis on the first 5 innings team total over to bet that Bailey's last start out. That was legitimately great. Was just a fluke. So those are all things that I'm thinking about. First 5 innings over, St. Louis, and the St. Louis first 5 innings team total over. Let me see what else on the baseball line is looking interesting. Well, James Paxton returns. He did not do well in his first start back. He's going to be on a pitch count again. And Hamels, as we all know, is someone who I, in general, have been looking to fade since he returned. But and you know, at times he has been bad, but in general has not been nearly as bad as I was maybe expecting him to be. I'm thinking he might get hit here, even though his last 2 starts were not that bad either. So I could see a shot with the first 5 innings over as having some value, but I was hoping to get 4 on that one, and I'm not seeing any 4s. I'm just seeing 4.5s at plus money. Let me see if Pinnacle has a 4 on that one. If Pinnacle has a 4 on that one, I might take it. Let's see, where is it? Texas, and they had 4.5 plus 109. So that's a lean, but another lukewarm lean on today's card. And let's see what else is interesting on today's card. Arrieta returns. Arrieta, after had a bad start in his last start, but before that was very reliable. So I think he was excellent before getting injured. Davies off a bad start. Is Davies going to start regressing a little bit? Not exactly sure. He also tends to be worse at home. So the Cubs might be worth a shot there. Again, that's another lukewarm opinion. And then the other one is that I did bet on the overnight actually was Washington. Rourke against Dickey. Dickey is coming crashing way down to earth in a major way recently. And, he's unpredictable. These 45-year-old knuckleballers, anything is possible from them at any given time. But Dickey has clearly been struggling in a major way recently and looks like that's probably more likely than not to continue. And on the other side, Rourke has not been lights out, but has been solid. So if we get another, solid start from Rourke and another shaky start from Dickey, then probably Washington, on the -1 line or on the first 5 innings money line is a good bet. Let me see what the money line is here on Washington. On the first 5 innings, -135. You know what? I'll take Washington. I bet it on the overnight line, and I will throw on Washington -1, which will be close to even money. A very small favorite line there for Washington -1. Money line part of that does come from the Greek at -132 and Pinnacle, and then the run line part for Washington will be +124 at Pinnacle. So a small, very tiny favorite line there on Washington. -1 in the first 5 innings money line at -135 or so is probably also something with a little bit of value. Someone asked earlier about Cleveland with Salazar and Bridwell. That's a tricky game. Salazar, of course, returning from the DL and has been off since he came back. He has definitely been struggling since he returned from the DL, and his reason for going on the DL was an elbow issue. So that is not an issue that is like a leg issue, which can sometimes, actually be good for a pitcher when he comes back because his arm is rested. It was an elbow issue. Salazar is definitely looking like he has some issues right now. Bridwell, very, very hard to predict. The guy who does pitch to contact, sometimes has a great start, as he did in his last start. Sometimes gets hit a bit. I'm thinking that Cleveland on the first 5 innings team total over might once again be worth a shot to hit 2 against to get 2 at least against Bridwell. But if Bridwell's last start was great, and wouldn't at all be a surprise if he does it again here. I think though that coming off a great start, it might be a decent play to take Cleveland on the team total over. It's 2 -129. So that is cutting it maybe a little bit close, but Bridwell can be hittable. Absolutely. You know what? I will give that one. I'll give that one. If it loses, that's fine. If Bridwell holds with 1 run or fewer, which is entirely possible. It's not. I mean, it's just that Cleveland has such a nice lineup. If you have any starting pitcher who you have any reason to suspect might be vulnerable, and the first 5 innings team total over is low as it is here, it's worth a shot. I'll throw it on there. Cleveland first 5 innings team total over 2 -129. So as of right now, I've given 3 picks. Baltimore -1, Washington -1, and Cleveland first 5 innings team total over 2 -129. And again, other plays I'm thinking about, maybe a fade of Paxton, Texas, Seattle first 5 innings over, maybe maybe the Cubs -1, hoping that Arrieta has a good start, although he's going to be on a pitch count as well. The Minnesota-Detroit game, I'm throwing that one out. Two lineups that can be bad and two starting pitchers who are likely to be bad. So it's just attrition all around, and going to pass on that one. St. Louis, Cincinnati, tempting to take the first 5 innings over, or the St. Louis first 5 innings team total over. The line on St. Louis has actually exploded from an opener of around 140 to now all the way up into the minus 160s. So, and Homer Bailey did have a legitimately good start last time out. Strikeouts were up, got good results, very inconsistent. So I expect him to probably be more likely not to get hit here, but I'm probably not going to touch that. So that might be, I might just give those 3 picks, and I'll hope that 2 of them cash, and then come back tomorrow and say that I went 2-1 and happy with the day. Let's see. Looking at some of the comments here. Blake Kersey saying, I'm going to keep riding Rourke unders today, Pete. Okay, except that Dickey, Rourke is not lights out, and Dickey has been very, very vulnerable. So you might see something similar to yesterday. The total's 9. If Dickey's off again, Washington could have 5 by the end of the first 5 innings. And if Washington puts up 5 at the end of the first 5 innings, and having 9 on the full game is a little bit risky. So I'm going to be on Washington -1 there. I understand why you like the under, but that definitely makes me very nervous. Here you go, Hako Schofield. Thanks, Pete, for the best sports pick show out there. You're the fucking man. Hako Schofield just doing whatever he can to please the gambling gods, because he made a couple nice comments and hit a 10-team parlay or a 9-team parlay. And now he's like, holy shit. Now he's just blasting away with the positive comments for me, hoping that he gets another multi-team parlay casher this week. And I hope you do too. Hako Schofield. I hope you
keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Yeah. Michael Maeda asking, Pete, any feeling on Twins over 2.5 first 5 innings? It's probably a good. Zimmerman is awful. Yes. So basically any team total over involving Zimmerman that you're asking me about, my first instinct and my pretty much only answer is going to say yes. The question is how strong of a yes is that? And I think in this case it's a decently strong yes. Zimmerman, coming back, anything's possible. We have seen Zimmerman have some surprisingly decent starts this year. Most of the time he's been bad, and Comerica Park can at times play a little bit big and benefit a guy like Zimmerman. But the short answer is yes, I agree with that. Minnesota team total over 2.5. Zimmerman should be vulnerable, tiny wind blowing in, but yeah, I'm not going to bet that one. But yeah, it's probably a positive EV play on Minnesota first 5 innings over 2.5. Just a pure fade of Zimmerman, who is very, very hittable, very, very vulnerable. Andrew G. Everyone is saying lay the wood with USF, but it's almost 3 touchdowns. Yes, that's correct. Well, they beat they had the same kind of line against Illinois last week. I forgot what their favorite line was there. They rolled them easily, and I think that this is an easier assignment. Temple is looking. This is obviously not the same Temple from last year, and their recent win against UMass, the recent wins against UMass and Villanova are looking very ominous as far as their ability to keep up with South Florida in terms of yardage. South Florida can be a little bit of a head case team, but again, it's a primetime game. They're at home. I hope they're not complacent after their last blowout, but my sense is that they probably won't be. So yeah, I'm thinking that South Florida is a good bet here, even given 19.5 tonight. And then the real Isbell asked about the team total over 41.5. Yeah, again, the total I think is pretty much about on. I would still, if I like the South Florida side, the total is on, then the team total over probably has a small value. Again, they put up almost 50 against Illinois last week. So I would say that probably the right side here would be the over on the USF team total. Although, it's also possible we could see that the USF defense could step up and we see like a 37-10 type of game or something like that. So that's not out of the question either. So I'm going to be on South Florida. And I'll throw it on. I'll throw it on there. I like it. I'm not going to be a pussy. I like it. I have no reason not to give it other than fear. And if that's the only reason, then I'm going to give it. I did bet it, and I did give it. I did use it in the Beat the Prick contest. So I'll give it minus 19.5, minus 106 at Pinnacle, South Florida. That's an official pick. And yeah, I just think that the edge is big, is too big enough. Jensen Bonzone saying, Pete, you like Alabama? Right. Yes, I do. I like it quite a bit, actually. That doesn't mean it's going to cash. You know, I am up a couple units in this show or in my official picks in college football this year, and doing quite well in college football overall, particularly sides. And that's a side that I'm liking, you know, one of my favorite sides of the week. You know, it's a highly debated line. I'm seeing a lot more opinions, you know, favoring Vanderbilt than I would have expected, but I do like that one. Nicholas Susi asking, Pete, do you like Georgia -5.5 over Mississippi State? My first answer to that is yes. I haven't done my my in-depth research on that game yet, but that is right on the docket. It's in the cards, and yes, I do like Georgia over Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State has maybe overachieved a little bit so far this year. Georgia underachieved a little bit, and yes, I do like Georgia over Mississippi State. I did already bet that one. I used it. I took it at the money line though, at minus 210. I think I got. But I do like Georgia to win and probably cover against Mississippi State. Jensen Bonzone saying I like Georgia here. Better D. Yes, I agree with you guys. I'm liking Georgia definitely. Okay. Let's see. And Hako Schofield, like Houston over 71 against Texas Tech. That is one of the picks that I gave already this week. Yes, I did. Jansen Bonzone, Clemson -34.5 over Boston College. I don't know. I kind of like Boston College there. Obviously, if Clemson wants to win by 35 or more, they can do it easily. I'm just not sure that the motivation is going to be there. I think we're going to see a relatively low-scoring game, slight lean to the under and slight lean to a Boston College getting all those points. All right, let's see. Other questions. Ricky Levine, do I bet hockey? I love hockey playoffs, and I do very well with hockey in the playoffs. In the regular season, I tend not to, just because I don't have enough time to do the proper research. Hockey, you really have to do. I find you really have to do, you know, because it is such a truly a team sport. The numbers are valid, and I love some of the advanced metrics with hockey. But I find that just in terms of the way I do it, I have to have enough time to do somewhat in-depth research every day, and I just generally, historically, of the past few years, have not had the time. So no, past few years, I have not bet hockey during the regular season. I have bet it in the playoffs and love it, and there's always great value in the playoffs. This year, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I would love to have the time to bet hockey. I love it, but during the regular season, usually don't have time to do it during the regular season. All right, let's see Let's see, other comments, other questions. People are asking about WNBA. I did take a first glance at the WNBA game that goes this weekend at the finals, of course, in WNBA. I don't have an opinion or a bet on game one. I might have one by if I look into it a little bit deeper, but as of right now, the teams look very competitive, and it looks pretty dead on. Let's see, the lines look pretty dead on. Let's see, all right. All right. Okay. Going back down to recent comments. Jim Rome's a douche saying Maple Leaf should come out hot. All right. I'll lock that away. Look for Toronto to have some value in the beginning of the season. Oh, I love hockey. It's just I don't necessarily. And Nicholas Susi saying bet Leafs overs. I just generally don't have enough time to handicap it appropriately in order enough for me to bet it and give it as a pick. But Anthony Rossi saying, what is the best online betting site? Well, that's a general question.
Sportsbookreview.com.
Sportsbookreview.com. SBRodds.com. No, sportsbookreview.com. Best online betting site. He's probably asking for, he probably means the best sports book.
Intertops.
Intertops. Best online sports book in the business. LOSHAKFIRST is a promo code that you can use to get a great bonus if you're a first-time depositor. And Reload. LOSHAK Reload is the promo code you can use.
LOSHAK Reloaded.
LOSHAK Reloaded. That's what you can use if you want to. Yeah, all right, okay. Ricky Levine saying, thanks, Pete. You the best for info. Thank you very much, Ricky Levine. Okay. Yes. Andrew G talking about the Niners, who I thought they were horrible. Yes, pretty banged up. This might be the American Hoyer story tonight. Yeah, I mean, Hoyer is bad, is not great. He can't throw deep, but, a good performance from him would not be a huge shock. So, it's Adrian Ganeka saying, what about the NFL game tonight, over or under? I mean, it obviously has under written all over it. And if you look at most people's predictions of that game, they're low-scoring predictions, and it's under. So I would lean under, but I don't think it's necessarily a great under bet, as I thought the Cleveland and Ravens game was. on Sunday. This game could easily get over because Hoyer and Hyde could have better than expected games. The run defense for the Rams a little bit suspect, and Goff could have a decent enough passing game. There are some weapons that the Rams have, absolutely. So that could easily get over 40 points. I'm not going to be betting the under. If you gave me a free bet, I guess I would take the under. I don't know. I could easily see tonight's game getting over the total. So good luck to anyone who bets the total. I'm not taking it, and I'm not betting the side either. Although I did bet the college game at South Florida minus 19.5. All right, Michael Wiseman. Do you have to pay taxes on those betting sites? Michael Wiseman. You don't have to pay taxes on anything.
Yeah, just ask Wesley Snipes.
Exactly. What you have to do is say, I am a sovereign citizen, a free man on the land, and there is nothing in the Constitution that indicates that you have to pay federal income taxes. It is illegal, it is stealing, and therefore I am not going to pay federal income taxes this year or any year. And that's what you say, and then they say, okay, sorry. No, just kidding. If you do that, they throw you in jail. Yes, you do have to pay taxes on gambling winnings. You do have to pay taxes on gambling winnings. You absolutely do. And actually, Vegas reports to the IRS if you have a big score over a certain amount in Vegas. I forgot what the amount is, but
I
Vegas
didn't know that.
Yeah, if you have it's over a certain amount. Like if you just win $500 at a sports book, but if you hit like a $10,000 bet, I forgot what the amount is. But Vegas does report big wins to the IRS, and technically, yes, you do have to pay taxes on your winnings, but in reality, most people do not have to pay taxes on any of their gambling activity because most people don't win. So, yes, if you do win, you have to pay taxes. If you lose, you don't have to pay taxes.
So congratulations if you have to pay taxes.
Yes. Okay. Jim Rome's a dude. LoShak will be your lawyer. Definitely don't pay taxes. They're illegal. Yes. Team low-hanging fruit. We don't pay taxes. We are sovereign citizens, free men on the land. All right. All right, so let's see. Yes. Jansen Bonzone says, move to Canada, no tax on a lot of your casino winnings, and also in the UK, which makes sense because it's like if you can't deduct gambling losses, then you shouldn't have to pay tax on gambling winnings, right? You can't deduct gambling losses, so then why should you? And that's what makes sense. So that's why in the UK you don't have to pay tax on gambling winnings at all. But in the U.S., yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I guess that's about it. I definitely added South Florida minus 19.5, minus 106. I've added that. I also added Idaho plus 3.5 in college football to my college football slate of games. And let me see. Again, I'm definitely thinking about Nebraska to get a nice win over Rutgers. Thinking about Indiana minus 24, and I bet Ball State at 9.5 on the opener. Now they're down to 7.5. I might give that one even at 7.5. So those are my leans that I'm thinking about right now. Maryland minus 3.5, Nebraska minus 11, Indiana minus 24, and Eastern Michigan minus 2.5. That one I'm really liking. You know what? I will throw that one on there. Eastern Michigan. I will throw that one on there. Let me find it. Eastern Michigan, minus 2.5. They're a better version of Eastern Michigan. Ohio's a tough team. They're a very consistent MAC team, and they're always a tough out. So it's not going to be an easy win here necessarily for Eastern Michigan. But I think I think they're off of a bye week. They're off an off week. They had two very nice wins. They beat Rutgers outright. They had a nice win against Charlotte in week 1. So I'll throw on Eastern Michigan minus 2.5, minus 106. Adding that one onto my official slate of picks as well. Also, the NC State, Florida State under, leaning that way. Yes, Idaho, South Alabama, leaning over. Maryland, minus 3.5, definitely a lean. Nebraska, minus 11. Indiana, minus 24. And Ball State, even at 7.5. That's a lean as well. All right, so that's it for college football. And as far as baseball is concerned, just 3 plays tonight. Let me see. The other one that it would be tempting is, let me just check the Washington first 5 innings team total over, because Dickey is just not, doesn't really have it. 2.5, oh God, 2.5 minus 112. It's just, you don't know what you're going to get from Dickey. All right, I'll hold off on it. I'll give it just -1 on the full game, because if Dickey does hold on under 2 runs, in the first 5 innings, then the full game, run line on Washington is also probably looking iffy. So just 3 plays today: Washington -1, Baltimore -1, and my other play was what the hell was it? Oh yeah, that's right, Cleveland first 5 innings, team total over 2. Leans, strong leans. St. Louis first 5 innings, team total over. Washington first 5 innings, team total over. Texas, Seattle first 5 innings over, and I guess that's about it as far as leans are concerned. And I would endorse Michael Maetta's pick on Minnesota first 5 innings, team total over 2. Just a straight fade of Zimmerman, who is just a tomato can right now in general, although not incapable of having a good start. He might take a shit on us, as Travis Wood did earlier this week. But so I'm not going to include that one as a pick, but just 3 picks, taking it a little bit easy today, and I think we can wrap it up. You're right, Marty, guys?
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday card, full MLB card, and I'll finalize some of my college picks tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.